was really in love with Delilah and the Philistine. Alright, so we've all had, childhood books based on Bible stories growing up. I didn't have one, but hopefully you all had one. But what I want to do is something different. I'm still gonna do Bible stories. I think I've only done one. But anyway, so what I want to do is read from a children's book, a children's Bible book, and I'm gonna compare it to what the Bible says, because in the children's book they would leave out certain gory details, but I just want to give you all the additional details as an adult, right? So this is the book that I'm going to use. So it's 366 Bible stories. It was written by Brown Watson, illustrated by Chris Ruthero. But yeah, I got this book, and what I like about it is that yes, it's a children's book, but it also has a lot of words in it. In terms of some books will be like glossy pages, bigger print, and like 6 lines of the story. So what I like about it is that they're going in depth to tell the stories in the Bible. So the story that I'm going to do today is, we've all grown to know it as Samson and Delilah, because Delilah has a major part in the story. So let's get to this. Let's get to it. This is a very long story as compared to the other pages, but I'm gonna try my best to shorten it for you. So in the beginning, right, they said that an angel of the Lord appeared and told Samson's mother that she's gonna conceive and bear a son. So let's go back a little bit. After Joshua and others alongside him died, the Israelites stayed in Canaan, but they adopted their ways because there were still some Canaanites living on the land. So they decided, alright, well, I'm going to do what they're doing. So they did what they did. But yeah, so they adopted their ways, and they were worshiping idols, they were sacrificing their children, murdering their fellow Israelites, and rebelling against God. And God basically called them to be different. I mean, God wanted them to be different. So God allowed them to be oppressed. So each time they felt the brunt of this oppression, they prayed to God and they asked God for forgiveness. God in turn raised up a judge. So a judge is not the white wig people, but was more like a military kind of person to kind of lead the people to a peaceful kind of land, basically to create peace in the land, to defeat the Israelites' enemies and stuff like that. And there were about 12 judges, and it starts from okay to the worst ever, which was Samson. Samson was the last, and they said that Samson was the worst judge ever. Samson was born, he was not to eat any unclean thing, cut his hair, drink anything containing alcohol and stuff like that, right? So that's what he had to not do, because he was supposed to be a Nazarite. In the Bible, they didn't say that in the book. In the Bible, they said that a Nazarite is someone who takes a vow to be set apart for God's service. So yeah, that's the reason why he can do all these things. Moving along in the story, Samson met a woman in Timnah, a place called Timnah, and he told his father, I want to marry this person. She was a Philistine, and the father, went along with it. He got married. When he got married, there was this big feast. On the way to Timnah, Samson, encountered this lion, and he defeated this lion and stuff like that. And I think he went back and he saw that the lion was in the carcass of the lion. Some bees decided, to make a home there and created honey. So So he took the honey out, he ate it, he gave his parents, and that kind of inspired him. So what he said to some men, there were some young men, he offered them 30 linen garments, 30 changes of clothing, and in the book it said that he will give them 30 bed sheets and 30 changes of clothing. So yeah, so they accepted the challenge. The riddle was, out of the eater came forth meat, out of the strong came forth sweetness. So the Philistines went to great lengths, but they couldn't solve the riddle. Reading from the book, they couldn't solve the riddle, only succeeded by resorting to a trick at the end of the 7th day. So that trick was that they went to Samson's wife and they told her that if she didn't tell them the riddle, they're gonna burn her and her father's house. So she went to Samson and she said, you are my wife and you're not telling me this riddle, like, we married, so you should tell me, right? So eventually he gave it to her. She told him, and the man came and said, well, I know the riddle, solve the riddle, but I think Samson found out that they cheated basically. So he got angry and he murdered 30 men and took their clothes. That's in the Bible. Took their clothes and he left and he went back to where he was living originally. So in the book it said that Samson was obliged to give each of them a bed sheet and a change of clothes. These he obtained by killing 30 other Philistines. In this way he began to fight his enemies. So in the book, on a later occasion at the time of the corn harvest, Samson burned not only the Philistines' corn but also their vines and their olives. The reason why he did that was because when he went back to check on his wife, he couldn't enter her room, and the father said, well, she was given to somebody else because basically he thought that Samson was upset and he didn't want to be with her again until Samson left and went home. So anyway, Samson got upset and they were upset and they burnt the wife and her father to death. In turn, he was upset. Yeah, so Samson was furious and he kind of went into like a sort of slaughter frenzy. So like he killed a lot of people. And then he left to go somewhere else. So when the Philistines, found him, they asked the people of Judah, to bring forth Samson, and they did. And they charged towards them. And the rope that the men of Judah tied Samson's hands with, it broke. He broke out of it and he basically killed all of the men. He killed them with a donkey, what do they say, a dry donkey jawbone. And Samson wrote this poem and decided to rename the place from where he defeated these Philistines. Anyway, moving to Delilah. Samson went to Gaza. He found a harlot, that's Delilah, and he went to her. So when the Gazites heard of his arrival, they laid in wait to kill him, but they weren't successful. Anyway, he was really in love with Delilah. And the Philistines came to her one day and said, they want to find out the source of his strength because, Samson was basically undefeatable, right? Asked her and they offered her, I think it was 1,100 pieces of silver. That's what it says in the Bible. In the book, she secretly made a bargain with the leaders of her people. So this is when she's coming to Samson and asking, where do you get your strength from? So she had to basically seduce him and keep asking him where his strength lies. 3 times he told her, but he basically told her lies just because I don't know why, but he just did. So he basically lied, and each time he gave her the reason. She told the Philistines, and when they came, they weren't successful. So she started to get upset with him and asked him and stuff like that. She asked him to, tell her it one more time. and eventually he got fed up and he gave in to what she was asking, and he said that his hair, in the Bible he said that his hair has not been cut, for he has been a Nazarite to God, for he shaves his 7 locks. For if he shaves his 7 locks of hair, his strength will be no more. So in the book it says, my strength comes from the Lord my God. As proof of my love for him, I have never cut my hair, and therein lies my strength. So yes, Delilah took that, and that night in the book, while Samson slept, Delilah had cut off and had him bound with strong ropes. When he awakened, Samson thought he could break free, but since his hair had been cut off, his strength had left him. In the Bible it says, yeah, she cut off his hair, same thing, she cut off his hair, but it said that little did he know, when he tried to break out, the Lord had departed from him. So the Philistines came and they took him, they blinded him, set him off to work. In the book it says that the Philistines led Samson away and they gouged his eyes and chained him to the grindstone in the prison in Gaza. Slowly, however, his hair began to grow again and his strength started to return. Sometime later, on the day of a feast in honor of Dagon, their god, the Philistine gathered in great numbers at their temple. So basically they had a feast. A little boy led him by his hand and he asked to set him between these two pillars which supported the temple where they had this big feast. And Samson braced himself against the columns. Samson prayed and he said, in the book he said, Lord, remember me, I pray thee, only this once, oh give me strength, oh God. Let me die with the Philistines. So he pushed his hands against the two columns and everything came crashing down. All these men and these women died along with Samson. So Samson asked for strength one more time to do, what he was called to do, which was defeat these Philistines. And obviously, he would have died with them because he was under the platform. So he killed a lot of Philistines that day. Yeah. So in the book it said, in this way Samson killed more enemies at his death than he killed in his entire life. So you will find this story in the book of Judges. Really a interesting book with different stories. It may be gruesome to some, but that's what happened. And yeah, so feel free to leave any comments. If I made an error in any way, feel free to correct me. This is just me, my perspective on the story, and this is what I'm gonna do later on. So yeah, feel free to like, share, or whatever you want to do. So thank you very much and stay tuned. Come on.